Hello friends, just to get you a little more familiar with who I am, because it kind of feels strange that I spend time with people online even that don't know me very well. Okay, I was born in 1961, seems like forever, in June. My mother was a beautiful woman, way better than my dad deserved as far as beauty. You should see their pictures. He had very big ears. He was slick back hair, so it accentuated his ears. And they gave birth to me. Later on, 3 years later, they gave birth to another boy. And then later on, they adopted 2 more boys, which I think parents sat us down when I was 12 to discuss it. So those 2 were one was 3 years younger, one was 1 year younger than me. As a matter of fact, Mom and Dad used to push the 2 boys when they were little in a twin stroller, and they'd say, "Oh my goodness, when were they born?" And this one was born on this day, and this one was born 6 weeks later. And people get to thinking about labor and how long she must have been in labor for 6 weeks. And they have to explain to them that they were twins. So I was born in a fairly big family, which means generally a generous family. We were not. My dad was a union electrician, but he moved to Deer, Arkansas, home of the Deer Antler basketball team. Didn't have a baseball team, didn't have a football team, and but then he had to move the family occasionally. I'm driving down the road. He had to move the family occasionally to take care, because in Deer it was a population of 30, I think, if they counted dogs in that town, and we lived outside of that town in an old mobile home that had a diesel or kerosene heater. Anyway, so I was raised poor, and then he would go off and work as a union electrician for 6 weeks, and we could live 6 months on that, and he would do whatever things, cut firewood, do work for people around. I think we trained horses for a while. We'd had a floor cleaning business for years, which that was all, staying up at night. It wasn't a lot of money. I think we did one job, I remember, it's like $25 to sweep, mop, and wax a donut shop. So, but $25 went a little waste. Anyway, I was not deprived of love, although my parents were from the 50s, and my dad has the 50s ideas about women. So, 4 boys, we had a blast. And to put things in a little bit perspective, I think it was around 7 or 8, I got rheumatic fever, maybe a little earlier, 6. Rheumatic fever, they pretty much attribute now to pollution. And I was bedridden. And I was bedridden when I got to Arkansas at age 8. And said one day, probably when I was 8 at 9, I got tired of feeling tired and being in bed all the time. I'd get up, but I just was tired. And so I went and pushed a bicycle to the top of a hill in front of our house, and then rode it down. That took me a long time because I was really tired, so I had to lay the bicycle down, went back in the house, and the parents decided, well, we'll just wait and see what happens, because part of the things that happen with rheumatic fever is enlarged heart, hole in the heart, irregular heartbeat, things like that. So they didn't want to push anything. They didn't really know very much in the 60s, so I decided that I was not going to be in bed anymore, and I've been that way ever since. So now, while my mom was carrying me, she carried Mom. She had got mumps, and she was told that I would probably not be able to have children. Well, I got 3, so that's not true. And anyway, just kind of pictures, mosaics of how the whole picture is. We moved around a whole lot. I think I went to 13 schools the last 9 years. So I learned to deal with adapting to other people. I wasn't greatly expansive. I wasn't, introverted real bad either. But I had to learn how to fight because in every school and every new time, there's these guys that are going to, just like with dogs and chickens and everything else, they're going to go try to pick on the weak one. And so I had to learn how to fight as a nice guy, usually with overwhelming odds, like in Houston, Texas, where everybody was unloaded off of a bus into like a chain link corral. They had basketball courts in it, but you had to funnel through into this, and then every morning, let's see, I must have been like 11 or 12, these guys would all get together and rob you of your lunch money, and eventually, they would threaten you beat you up if you didn't. So I'd already been through a gamut of, including New York, where I had a guy pull a knife on me, and I was in 3rd grade, which totally shocked me. So anyway, I was taught to be very polite, but these guys went after it. So when the security guard showed up to break me up with 3 guys fighting with me by myself, they drugged them off of me while I was punching them, and I had my hand stuck in the other one's afro, holding on to his rake and everything. I had my hand in his afro, and he was screaming and crying. I didn't realize I had my hand in his afro, but I was, desperate, trying to fight, and I was growling by that point, which is what has happened a lot in my lifetime. So I've learned to get tough when I need to get tough. So I love people, and I've always been interested in each person's adventure in life, and that's what my life has been. And I have had a number of people on YouTube, which is odd. I mean, normally I know people are going to talk about us. Normally, it's just like, people talk, oh, I could do better, or he does not doing that right, or I even had a guy that his ex-wife and I were seeing each other. He told her, he's like, that guy's a drug dealer, I can prove it. And you can do a hair follicle test, there's no drugs in it. I don't have any allergies, I don't have any sicknesses, I don't have any side effects from the rheumatic fever. So that's some of my story. I have worked hard, and that has been the answer to every problem, including getting along with women in my life. I think every woman is beautiful. I think some of them have maybe less beauty than others, but I'm not talking about outward beauty only. It's very important that you don't get with a woman that ends up making you live on top of the roof, which try to get away from her. So that's a Proverbs. But I enjoy all women. I treat them with respect. Even though my brothers might not have the exact same view, I never did pick on girls when I was a kid. I've always treated them as fragile and special. And it didn't matter that I was raised by a 50s dad. And he wasn't a bad guy. I had great parents. We were poor, didn't know it, but we were taken care of and shown the right example. I mean, my parents stayed together until my mom died of cancer. So women have been the best influence in my life, most important influence in my life. Doesn't mean that men haven't been either, but the two most strongest characters were my mother and my grandmother in my life. My grandmother was able to take me as a hyperactive child, going from being in the bed. Sorry about any kind of bad video, by the way, but being in the bed to being hyperactive, and now would be called attention deficit disorder. But I would add HD to that, ADHD, high dimension. I was so full of energy and so full of life that I got into trouble a lot. I told people, when people say, "Oh, you believe in spanking kids?" Yeah. Discipline, yes. Although I had more success taking away video games than ever spanking my kids. As a matter of fact, I didn't have to spank my kids the last 7 or 8 years because I could just take video games. It was great. Oh, I'm going to take your video games away. So that's pretty good discipline. That's tears shed and everything else. So anyway, I was raised around this soft, gentle grandmother who sometimes my parents would leave me with her because she said, "I'll take him," and leave me with her for the summer. I loved her. She was calm, never lost her temper. There's so much more I could tell you about all these different characters in my life, and I'm kind of skimming over it. But those two people, my mother and my grandmother, influenced me in a powerful way. My grandmother told me over and over again, especially at 18, 17, 19, probably when I was younger, it's not what happens to you that counts. It's how you react to it. Remember, it's not what happens to you that counts, it's how you react to it. And my mother would say, "Phil, live your life like someone is writing a book about you. So even if nobody else knows, you know who you are. And if you believe in a creator, he can see what you're doing. You don't just do bad things, go to church, and say, "Oh, I'm righteous now." You have to know that he's there all the time, or why bother? Unless you're trying to use it as a way to influence your good looks to your righteousness to people at the church and get a business out of it. You can do that. So anyway, I have always treated women with respect. And in regards to this business, as a repairman, they are the ones that control what happens. So it would have been stupid of me to treat women with disrespect at all. So I just don't. It's came instinctually, but I don't. And 95% of the time, the men just want to know where the TV is and where the bed is and where the bathroom is. I'm not saying they're bad guys. So there's differences. There's always some man that's different, but they usually want her to be happy with the colors, the design, the type of materials. Some women are more tactile than others, and they want to touch it. So they touch the trim. They look at the paint matching to their furniture, things like that. So I've always gave women all the information that I could without trying to seem I'm trying to impress them, but things that are important to their decisions about what I can do. And then I give them all the options that I can until they say, "Hold on, man, that's just too much information. Just tell me this or that." So I provide at least enough information, and sometimes too much, to the women that I do work with on their houses or the businesses. So I've always treated men and women with respect, and if somebody starts to get snotty and mean, I usually just amputate myself from them because I don't need them. I can lose the money and survive. I have had thousands of dollars through the years, not recently, because I now instinctually notice the person that's a jerk up front generally is going to be a jerk to all the time you know them. If they're rude, they're hard on you to begin with, and it's not because they're scared. You can tell the difference, but because they just are used to bullying people. You really don't want to do work for them. You want to bow out and say, "I'm sorry, I don't feel qualified," because you might not be qualified. deal with their attitude. So you step off. I have not always done that, and I have always paid the price. So I would suggest that you guys look into people that are having a hard time and want to pass that hard time on to you, and amputate yourself from those who can cause you that grief. Move yourself away, whatever. When I say amputate, because an amputation can hurt financially, maybe hurt your pride. You're like, man, I'm stepping off. You can have whatever money's left. I'm not gonna put up with you talking to me that. Usually they'll straighten up, but not when it comes to the end of the job. You're gonna lose money either way. And so I have, there is nobody in, well, I have 4 businesses. One of them used to be a sports card shop that turned into many, many thousands of baseball cards, sports cards, like a 48-foot semi-trailer full. And I have a guy that sells them. It doesn't make pretty much money. It takes some, but it makes $150, $200 a month, maybe. I wouldn't say that much. Then I have a repair business. Of course, that little sports cards used to have much more tied to them. I used to have. I used to be a sports card promoter. I used to have 2 different sports card shops. I had a lot of fun with people. I would do that after work and on weekends. So used to take my wife with me until she just got sick of all the sports stuff. God bless her. She is a beautiful woman, and she is who she has always been. I will say she has always been the same person. She has grown and matured some, so like we all. So anyway, she didn't want anything to do with it. So I was married to her for 13 years, and she felt like she was missing out on life, and she left to go find herself, and I think she might have. So, what a great adventure we had together. A lot of things I could say, good things about our relationship and our time together. So I would really don't want to say bad things about her. But she left, and I raised 3 kids and went through the divorce about the same time as my mom died, which was really tragic. I don't think I've ever sorted it all out, but that's okay. It's made me a good person, and in a lot of different ways. Not because of pain, but pain actually makes, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, that kind of thing. So the second wife I had came a while later. I purposely did not bring girlfriends into the house to be as a cheap babysitter, although I had a lot of volunteers. Did not want to confuse my children, which were 2 3-year-olds and a 6-year-old when my wife left, about what a relationship with a woman should be, and who is, how I tried to set the example. So I didn't want to have a pack of girls in the house, and so I didn't do that, even though I could have. That would supposedly heal my wounds. I'm just not that style. I'm kind of a one-woman man. I'm not kind of. I am a one-woman man. I really don't want to pat myself in the back. So the second woman came along. She was much younger. When we were together about 2 years, she and I went through a lot of tumultuous times. She left to become a singer, and boy, she can sing. And she had her beauty too. But she said, "You're the same as my first wife. You're too good for me," that kind of thing. Basically, it was a cop-out. You just didn't want to go through tough times. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, and women can do that. They can their own personal beauty can get things for them that usually a man can't. Influence, position, their bills paid, things like that, just by friends, men friends. But she wanted to get her career, and the way she talked, she was going to get her career going, and then come back from it. I said, look, let's just end this, and if you're going to go, and just you have a good life, and we'll both live our lives. Oh no, I'm going to come back. That's okay. Then whenever this third woman came into my life, which she was busy as a CNA, very, very skilled CNA, and she was a tough woman, had a lot of tough times, taken advantage of as a child, same as the second second wife. This third woman, and now my wife, had horrible things happen to her from her mother allowing things to happen, and on and on and on. But she was tough. I mean, she was really tough. She's got three kids, 2 kids straight up, and one that she took on, which is, anyway, she had already pretty much raised her kids. They're gone, out. And so she bumped into me, and we hit it off. I didn't need her, she didn't need me, but we both liked each other. So I told my girl then that, and she does all the videos and things like that. I told her that I want. She actually asked me to, do you want to get married? I'll sign a prenuptial. I said, look, I'm not signing a prenuptial with anybody. Either I'm all in or I'm not. And so let me make sure that this is exactly, and try to be as less emotional as I can about it. So I had to think about my boys still, who are now 2 12-year-olds and a 15. And imagine now, this woman would be willing to step into teenage years with me after she done went through a bunch of it with her kids. Yeah, that's a special woman. So I decided that it was positive, even if I wrote it all out on a dry erase board, to marry this woman. So I did. And I've never had an argument with this woman in 9 years? Never had an argument. I think she's been pretty irritated with me at times, but we've never argued. I haven't berated her, and I've never called her what a lot of guys do. I've never called her a bitch. I'm not, because I'm sorry, baby, that kind of thing. We just got where we like each other. And I could go on and on about this story. I could write a book about our relationship. But she is very, very special in my life. She's a partner, and I'm very, very loyal to her. And if happens that she were to be infirmed, I would be loyal to her right to the very end. It's just the way it is. Not only because that's who I am, but because she's earned it. So she's made 14, 16 website, runs them all, maintains them all. Some people's like, oh man, you're using WordPress, on the websites. Yeah, but it's still doing it, man, and maintaining it and putting all that stuff on it. And she helps me with the paperwork. She does the taxes. I could go on and on about all the things she does. So I'm not wanting to step into her privacy at all, but she is exceptionally special to me. I understand her imperfections, and I understand the things that are irritating, but I sure keep focused on all those good things that she is in my life. So that makes me a little different than the average truck driver who's who baby and all that kind of stuff. I see women with their beauty, young or old, and I understand what their body parts are, and I get all that. I mean, I understand where you can develop the hunger for it and you just can't stay faithful. I get it. You know why? Because you're just constantly feeding yourself with the appetite. So I don't do that. I try my best to not stay focused on things that are bad for me. So, like if you're a drug addict, you don't keep looking at places where you could maybe get some drugs or drink, whatever it is that's bad for you. You don't keep focusing on that. It helps you deal with all those things. But if I focus on the beauty in my life, which she's a large part of, there are so many intricate details that helps me to enjoy what I have instead of driving by the Grand Canyon at 100 miles an hour. I can stop and look and look and look. Every kiss is special. Every hug is special. Every one of them have details. And so I could, like I say, I could write a book about her. So she has been a spectacular thing. And I have 3 boys. They are all gentlemen so far. They can choose to be what they want to be. And I have the repair business, which I've had in this area about 26 years, maybe more. Met a lot of really cool people, really neat people. I've outlived a lot of them. That's a shame, because I'd rather them all get stay living as long as I do. And because of that, I've got probably we were trying to go over probably 1,200 people that call me. Some of them once every 7 years. A lot of them every 5 years or something for whatever knick-knack thing. And some of them call me, regularly to make their life the way they want it. They can use me as a vehicle to get where they want. I don't have much overhead. If you look, even the truck that I drive doesn't even have headliner in it because it was cheaper to just pull it down and put another one in. So 1992 Chevrolet truck has antique tags. I have 27 more trucks. 27. I have 36 vehicles altogether. And believe me, I don't have time to fix them all. So I got anywhere from an 87 Z28, that 89 Trans Am, 71 Mercedes. There's nothing all fixed up, because as soon as I get something fixed up, somebody trades me 4 or 5 vehicles for it, and I got to stop all that. I got to fix it and then reduce, because I don't have time to be a mechanic. When I first started my business, I had time. I go do mechanicing and make money that way. I still do a lot of oddball things. Had somebody bring a PlayStation 3 to the house, said, "You think your boys could look at this?" And I told them, well, if they don't, then I will. So I'll get on YouTube and I'll see if there's something I can do for the Ring of Death. So anyway, what I do also is I have another business called You Name It Collectibles. A lot of fun. You can see that. It's in Cassville, Missouri. It's fantastic for somebody with ADD and HD. So that is a lot of fun. It's a separate story altogether. And then the mobile home park, again, another story. I'm not always sure that I'm running the mobile home park or it runs me. I think I owe less than 100,000, 70,000, I think, on the mobile home park, somewhere 75. I need to just go ahead and get it paid off. And I've spent probably 250, 300,000 over the years. I own all the mobile homes in there. I don't rent the lots. I rent the houses, which just puts me where I have all this damage done by ungrateful people, ingrates on doing ungrateful things. Because there's not one of them that I haven't helped. Not one has moved in, took care of themselves, never asked me anything, paid the rental time. Not one. And I don't mean they're bad people, but it's just saying that I've always been generous. And every summer I pick up little electric heaters at garage sales and thrift stores. And then every winter somebody even mentions, I might even ask, hey, do you have a cold spot in your house? Or they say, oh, my bedroom's cold. I said, well, here, let me give you this heater. Now, I paid $3 or $4 for. That's normally a $35, sometimes up to $100 heaters that I got for very, very inexpensive cost. So that is a whole journey in itself. I don't have in my repair business, one of the biggest changes for me was to realize that it is my goal to make other people's lives better, to improve their lives. Sometimes they can't afford very much. And Monday, I helped a friend that I have known for many, many years. He had a head-on collision, broke his hip. He's not done well. He's probably not going to make it a lot longer. So I did the work. I tried to make a deal with him to trade for a junk truck, sitting parked. It's worth something for parts, maybe. Don't need one more vehicle. Like I told you, I have so many. But I was trying to help him out. I was like, hey, you just pay me the $250 that I've got in my boy's labor and the materials, and then we'll just the rest of it. Probably have more than 250, but the rest of it we'll just trade for that S10. Well, he's like, oh, let me think about it. So I did all that work where I could have been doing something else for somebody else, but I didn't do it, and it wasn't about money. And there's a lot of things that I do that way. So I want you guys to understand, when somebody puts a comment or something saying that I'm wrong, that you shouldn't do things this way, the day I stop making mistakes will be the day I'm dead. So I actually had a guy send me a text saying that he built 40,000 houses, shot out codes. You need to retract everything you said about not needing vents on mobile homes. Well, guys, I have worked on hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of mobile homes without vents, and not one of them have called me back. I own 14 homes, and I eliminate all those vents. So I am not telling you anything that in any of these videos that I think is going to hurt you. And anytime that I do, I will always apologize. But as far as I'm concerned, everything I've said and done has been with good motive. And the reason I started YouTube was to help people understand that they don't have to take my word for it. They can actually see me do the work in the local area that I'm in. Hey, other people pick up something. It's kind of a neat idea. I'm helping people even more. So, thank goodness for you guys. It's a way for me to leave something behind that is not detrimental. What a great idea that we can all help each other. So if I can help you along the way, please understand when other people step in, I don't live in no fancy house. I don't drive no fancy truck. I don't have no payments. I don't intend to retire. Understand what the motive of these other people would be. Why would they tear somebody else down that's trying to help other people? I have never, ever gone to somebody else's channel and said, hey, you're saying something wrong, you're doing something wrong, I just, if I don't like what they're saying, then I don't watch it. And guess what? They don't have any followers. So there's going to be Ku Klux Klan members that have followers. So, I don't expect to please everybody. What I do want you to know is anything that I put out there is what I do and what I have seen with 26 years in this area. And I am going to be 59 in a month and a half. I don't have any intention on getting rich off of any one person. If I do, I will bless them, thank them, and all that kind of thing. But I have no intention of doing that. Nor do I intend to give you information that will hurt you, ever. Okay? So now you know a little bit more about me, and now I've got to go into Lowe's to go get some doors. So I hope you guys have a great life. And if you choose to listen to what I have to say, I am blessed. Thank you. And hopefully we can all help each other as we go through life, because I have learned a lot, and I know there's so many more things to learn. I have a whole house full of books, and YouTube is full of smart people. Some people might not be so smart, but there's still things to learn from them, even their mistakes. So thank you for paying attention to my long-windedness, but that's who I am. I have never gone to somebody else's site to denigrate what they do. and I never will. So you guys be good to yourselves and be good to other people and help each other out. That's what I suggest. Whether or not you do it or not, that's up to you. You've had the gift of life. Let's see if we can make something out of it. See you later.